mission was established in 1903, and it was located in the eastern part of Tanganyika, which is now Tanzania. That was the original parent. Those were the original and evangelized Uganda with the Adventist message. We are now coming home. In 1906, ANs attempted to enter Uganda across Uganda. Those of us who live near Lake Victoria, we know at that time they were together with some other smaller flies called imbwa in Rusoga. When they bite, you begin getting itches on your skin. Those flies never allowed the gentleman to continue exploring to enter Uganda. However, prior to 1924, whites were already in Uganda. They had started investing. And then a group of whites had started investing into rubber planting. They had a rubber plantation in a place called Bwanswa in the Kakumiro district, Bugangaizi, that is Bunyoro area. And those two men were Gongowe and K. Now, because of insecurity at that land, that place could not be habitable. What was the source of insecurity? Let me mention a little bit of the politics at that time. The Kingdom of Uganda wanted to expand. In the east, they expanded up to Mountain Elgon by sending the man whom we all remember as Kakunguru. And then he added this territory to the Buganda Kingdom, although there was resistance and the kingdom never ruled the place, but they were getting taxes. On the other side, Buganda wanted to extend up to Renzi, and they said, no way, these people cannot continue that side. So there was insecurity in that place called Bwanswa, in Kakumiro, and because of that insecurity, land was advertised by the Europeans to attract other investors who would bear the challenges which were in the place. And the land was advertised in Europe, even USA, to attract more to come. So in 1924, between 1924 and 1926, the church had that as an opportunity for them to secure land and start Adventism here. So they sent a man called Spencer George Maxwell with his wife, together with their friend T. Bartlett, who were assigned to venture to enter Uganda and explore how to secure the land for the church. And I'm told, or we are told, history says they were using the 13th Sabbath offering to secure that land. Spencer secured the land and started organizing establishment of an SDA mission. And at the same time, the people that were Pale, that was the nearest mission in Tanganyika, they identified the people who would come and then back these people who were starting a mission. So they sent 3 couples. One was Lewe Ezekiel, Abraham Laheri Musanji, and Petro Risase. The name of Petro Risase is familiar to most of us who have been following the history of the church. And they were brought in to do that work. They came straight to join Spencer and Bartlett and started the natural who would help for the war between Bunyoro and Uganda intensified, and the place still became insecure. So the team split. The version of the story I gathered indicate that a team spread and the group went to Mitandi. Mitandi is beyond the Fort Potro. That is, we are going to Rwenzori. That is Western, is it Western Field? I'm not sure of that, but that is Rwenzori. Then another team moved towards Buganda. The team which moved to Uganda is where I can have the facts of the story. They arrived at Mityana and they were welcomed. It was known Anania Gugwa, who offered them a small hut, and that hut was used as a residence, was used as a home, as a base. And these people, after using that place, they started moving in the interior of the villages. They started moving to which they had brought. And that was very good because work was going on. However, these people became so busy that they would leave very early morning, they go and do the work up to night. They would come late to prepare their meals. And the natives were watching 3 Tanzanians who are moving in the interior. They are trying to share good words, but then they come back and prepare meals at night. Now, these natives referred, just as I don't know how I would call it, would it be naming that in this Balyogere, Tanzania, Balyogere. So the place was called Balyogere because of those people eating at night, preparing meals at night. And then what they were teaching was similar to what would be Jewish. And then they were saying, now, these people, what they are teaching is about the Jewish, Balyogere. I think this place, we can just call it Judea. Literally, when something's happening in an area, people tend to talk about that. If the Basoga settle in one place, in a town, in a city like at Banda, they call it Kisoga because the Basoga are there. If it is elsewhere in Elira, they will still say that is Kisoga because the Basoga are there. So that place, because they were eating at night, it was called Balyogere. Others were referring it to Judea. Judea is now a known place for Adventists, and there is a church. So at the time when Kabaka of Uganda, through his missionaries at Balyogere, he donated that land, and that's where the current SDA church in Mityana town is located. Between 1927, 29, it is recorded in the facts that the work of these people resulted into one gentleman called Joshua Kidawarime, who was a blind man who was selling tobacco. He abandoned his merchandise and said, I cannot sell tobacco after the teachings he received. And he decided to get baptized. But of course, baptism at that time was difficult. So these other Tanzanians put him on a truck that was going to Bunyoro to pick cotton. And the story says the gentleman was left at Kiyuni on his way to Kakumiro. I have not discovered how exactly he would move on to continue up to Chwanga. But the story says was put on to Kakumi, left at Chiuni, and then he was found, he was picked from there to continue to Chwanga. As I said, this is a story we are sharing. In fact, we are sharing a story that occurred over almost 100 years back. Later, 2 brothers, those of you who have heard Simon Gola and Henry Gwedeko, they were young men from Mityana at a place, I forget the name of the place, I will be able to recall it, but they picked interest in these young men and they wanted to go and see what are these young men teaching that can even give that place a name, a new name, Judea. So they went and ventured, they listened to their teachings. Through explanations of teachings, the 2 young men decided to join. They joined together with their sister So the two young men, Henry Gwedeko, Simon Golola, together with their sister Blandina Namsoke, converted to Adventism. This story, I've got it, and any other person can confirm it from their family. They are staying at Nama. Those of you who know Mitiana, when you go to Nama and you extend to Kalamba, there is a church which was a family church for this family. And the bodies, the graves of these two men are there. But their son is there. He can tell you the story and you confirm the story. So Simon Gola, Henry Gwedeko, Namsoke Blandina become Advents. They join the Tanzanians and they begin sharing the word with the community. Gwedeko and Gola became very big asset to the spread of Adventism in Uganda because they were instrumental in joining these Tanzanians and even joining the school at Inchwanga and even joining the missionaries who were circulating in the field to go and spread the gospel. So in Uganda, Central Uganda and Eastern Uganda, that is the Busoga, Mbali, where we treasure these people. Personally, I have an experience. I've listened to people who tell the story. The two during the crusade that introduced Adventism. Other places people can tell their story. And I've mentioned these facts in some of my write-ups. The one which Sister Waiso you have showed, Church Heritage. There's another smaller book where we have put these things. It is called 80 Years of Adventism in Busoga, the history of the Leyte and evangelization. It's another little book which we have gathered as a church in Jinja to find out the facts about how Adventism came to Eastern Uganda. Feel free to share these things and read, but there is a poor reading culture. If I hear, as you have been explaining, that even the books we wrote, they are still lying in people's offices, people are not ready to read. They are used to digital. There are many other resources I have said, which you can read. These books, there are many literature. There's a lot of literature which you can read and get to know what the Adventists have been doing. And it will guide you and understand Adventism. I will not go in further details because I'm not going to read those books, but I want to draw your attention that some of the other Ugandan pioneer volunteers and ministers have been listed in this book. We have listed the youth leaders, field leaders. We have listed the, I think even division leaders in this book. From the time Adventism started in Uganda up to present. Feel free to get a book. You can update it, and that would be good for all of us. Otherwise, in the notes I sent, I'm sharing records of 1978, and I want to mention a few people whom you may recall who are in that list. Licensed ministers, we cannot leave CM Alidechi, we cannot leave Kalisa, Kayondo, Kiria, Balamukiria. Those are living. Balamukiria is still alive. James Kulaba is living, but he's an old man. Johnson Masereka, Mazerele, I think Mazerele rested. Minan rested. Elias Tompanga, I have no idea. Mohinda, I have no idea. Mukirane rested. Yoweri Musana. Many of these names, as you read through, some are living, some rested. They also credentialed literature evangelists. That is an aspect I want to emphasize. Literature evangelism is very important if we are to understand Adventism and spread it further, because it gives us an opportunity to read the books before we share them out. So there were literature evangelists like Agaba, Basigirenda, Mukyala Bukirwa, Buswandi, Wilson Bwanika, Kabala, Kafwelo, Rakaja, Kadubungula, and then Kaluhanga, Kamulindwa, Ane, Kangamutete, Kasozi, Kato, Chisana, some of those people, all their sons are still around. I've heard people mention those names. Kisiki, Azalia Kumuleva, Cheyune, Lubega, Lutwama, Inda, Mwonge Namubiru, Kolia, Bunsia Leta, Alexander Wahile, George Nsamba, Ise Makula, Christopher Sempala, E.N. Senkonyo, Azalia Tenywa. This one is from even number here. Was from even number. Mesa Chiwabwire, Yusuf, Wachiugu, Wekomba. Those are some of the names I've been able to share. As I end, I want you to get to this also. There are fundamental beliefs which define or characterize Adventism. One, the doctrine of God. We need to know it. The doctrine of humanity. Doctrine of salvation. The doctrine of the church. The doctrine of Christian living. And the doctrine of restoration. There are big lessons I cannot start expounding on from here. But I know when you get time, read and understand. Get also to know some of the events, like the Millerite movement, the Great Disappointment. When did the Advent Church be incorporated as the church? The beginning of heresy reforms. What is it about the first missionary, J.N. Andrews? There is something which we normally refer to, the righteous by faith. This conference, some people have interpreted it. People need to know what it is. We also need to know the reorganization in 1901. To Greek, and we are talking about the sanitarium, that is health. We are talking about the publishing. We also need to know what I mentioned as Grand Switzerland, when the church adopted the younger people's department. And then don't forget that one, the 28 fundamental beliefs, which were adopted in 1980. And lastly, you need to know about the local church. You need to know about the local conference. That is the church organization. You need to know about the union conference. You need to know about the general conference, the different levels of church authority, church levels. Leaders are selected every 5 years. At local church, they are selected every 2 years or every 1 year. These things you need to know how leaders are selected. Leaders are baptized members in good standing. Good standing is very important. You may be baptized, you may be a member of the church, but are you in good standing? Read and get to understand what is it to be in good understanding. Read to know key leaders at a local church level. The pastor, the elder, the treasurer, the deacon, and the clerk. We are going through this training so that the youth can be empowered to be part of these leadership positions. Leadership is guided by church policy and many other documents, ministers' manual, elders' manual, church manual, youth administrative handbook, and many others. These days I've even seen one on women ministry. All this leadership, there are writings we need to know. So as I end, let me pose a question. Are you able to compile important events and their dates in your local church, or your local field, or your local conference, or union, or you just look on and then you don't know what it is? Are you able to compile important installations in your SDA church? This is part 3 of the assignment. I want to say that this has been a marathon. To share a story of over 200 years in 1 hour, you need to read and understand, and I want to wish you a good adventure in reading the different literature to enrich your understanding of the Adventist story. Thanks very much.
You're welcome, but thank you, great elder. Can I ask participants, comrades, please hit the reaction button and perhaps give appreciation to the elder. I know I cannot ask you to unmute, but please, you can use the Zoom chat room and otherwise also use the reaction button to really convey the gratitude for the good guidance and deliberations we've really had from our elder. Elder, may the Lord bless you. Apparently, yeah, thank you. Apparently, I want to bring in comment, probably questions. If you would make commentaries, and later on we would have remarks from our directors about the continuity and our training as candidates. Well, a very quick good comment comes first from Janet Kaizike, that is from Central Uganda Conference, says, actually Patrick Omogi and Janet Kaizika would cluster their comments. They really are very thankful. They say this has been very interesting to hear. And I want to appreciate our director for having given us an opportunity to learning from Elder, a very great author, who has dedicated time to preparing very many materials, internalizing many, and so the Lord bless both. Again, Janet Kaizike, following the directives, the guidelines from our facilitator, gave guidance that we can also download these books, that is in the LNG White app, that is on Play Store. Yeah, friends who have smartphones, I believe by virtue that we are attending this conference, majority of us have smartphones. Well, let's continue reading these books online, but as the director said, we can also buy them physically. Through online, we can get the LNG White app and make use of the books. Still, Dagire Flores, she's really humble, says, I'm humbled by this presentation. Thanks, Elder. We are grateful for this wonderful presentation. Point improve on my reading. It's very interesting. So that's again a comment from our friend Dagire Flores, and I want to appreciate her as well for consistency. Still, Patrick Omongi makes a comment that we need to think of celebrating 100 years of Adventism in Uganda. Yeah, that is following this great guidance. Now, there is that one question. Friends, if you have not sent your question, I've already earlier on guided, we can use the Zoom chat room or use the WhatsApp group. The first question that perhaps I would give the elder to make a commentary came from Brother Waiswa Emmanuel from Eastern Uganda Field. And the question was about missionary. If I may read it exactly as it is, says, Elder, you will help me elaborate. Who is a missionary? For some time, we think they are devoted Christians who travel longer distances, especially away from their home. So, a quick summary, the question, Elder, is the brother Waiso Emmanuel wishes you to elaborate who a missionary is, because perhaps there is a perception that they are people who leave their hometown and go to different, though distant places. From our union director, she conveys great and says great appreciation to Elder Balyogere. So, Elder, I want to invite you as well. Apparently, we 11 minutes to the hour of 5, and I know we shall borrow some few minutes. But apparently, these are the questions that have been coming through the Zoom chat room. If there are more, I'll probably give them back to you. Perhaps you elaborate and receive these remarks and appreciation from candidates, my comrades. But why, so Emmanuel, as a comment, and probably you make a comment to this question. Thank you. Elder, I will beg you respond to one for Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, I didn't get his. The network is a challenge here. The network is a challenge.
Right,
I didn't get that.
I will paraphrase again. Why is Emmanuel Eastern Uganda field as the only question which came through? Others are good commentaries because perhaps they've been following histories. Why is
Okay.
who is a missionary? He wants you to elaborate more because he says for sometimes we think they are devoted Christians who travel longer distances, especially away from their home countries. So he seeks elaboration of who a missionary is. Yeah, thanks, Elder.
Okay. Okay. I've got it. Hope the network will allow me to talk about that. You know, one challenge we have is that, do you hear me?
Yes, gladly,
Do you hear
Elder, we
me?
hear, we follow very
Okay.
often. Yes, we
We
can.
normally look at the whites and we normally look at the whites and we think that they are the ones who know who should be called missionaries. Even you can be a missionary. Even whites can be a missionary from Busoga to Lango. Not necessarily long distances overseas, but purpose. When you leave your place and you go a distance, you go to another place, you relocate, you're a missionary. Mission, you have a mission. The moment you have a mission, you have an undertaking to fulfill. You have something to do. You have a mission. And when you go on errand to fulfill that task, you're a missionary. So missionary is not necessarily whites from abroad. We can be missionaries within. For example, there were people who moved to Bunyoro and they came to Eastern Uganda. I think they were missionaries. I can move from here and go to Bunyoro. I think I can be a missionary. As long as I have a mission. Briefly, I would think that is it. As long as you know the mission, and I will not go in detail because it is part of the assignment. I asked, do you consider yourself to be a missionary? That is it.
Okay, thank you very much, Elder, for the elaboration. Again, from Joseph and Precious, they say, thank you, Elder, for the educative presentation. Brother Mumbele Kisombo, Eastern Uganda, Brother Renzold Field says, thanks for the message, Elder. Together with Diamukama, Brother Diamukama is indeed grateful. And those are a few comments that, Elder, we have cited and read through the Zoom chat room, but many are still coming through. There are no more questions. Friends, personally, I've followed closely from the very start, and I look forward to writing the assignments. I hope very many colleagues have also been following, and they have really understood. So thank you, Elder. I would appreciate you in a batch for the presentation. Apparently, for the minutes we are left with, I want to seek guidance from the union director about the communications we're going to have. Are we having conclusive remarks from you, Johanna, or we are also going to have from the regional directors, like you earlier on said yesterday?
Okay. We will hear from Pastor Sentongo just after some remarks, in case we'll get to him in case he has a communication to his team of SYL in CUC. But we want to appreciate our elder, our facilitator for today. That is Elder Balyogere Patrick, for sparing time for us. He has really challenged us a lot. We need to read. Youth leaders, we need to read. This church is rich with a lot of information, but the Adventist church I don't want to use this word is dying, but it is the fact. Why? Because we are not reading. So we are not reading. So we are not reading books. But this church is blessed with a lot of information. Friends, if we only share the information, the books that we have to read. Now, the Adventist youth, we are doing very poorly in reading. And we want to take the opportunity. Children of God, we've been blessed. We realize the opportunity to read the books that have been written. They have a lot of information for us. Now, elders challenged us a lot. There are so many books we need to read. There are so many things we need to read to learn more about our church. It will help us to be grounded for the work of the Lord. Now, when you hear only the history, the Adventist history, as Elder has explained, you will notice that there was a lot of involvement of the youth. We are challenged with young people such as Harry Fenner and Luther Warren and many others. Now ask yourself, just at 17 years, what did you do for the Lord? I believe many of you here are past 17 years. Now, Harry Fenner was 17 years. What did you do for the Lord at 17 years? Do you remember it? Now, what did you do for the Lord at 14 years? Do you remember what you did for the Lord at 14 years? Now, there are so many lessons that we learned from our pioneers. That is why this topic is very key. It helps us to roll back to our roots and be challenged. What can we do? Elder has shared a lot with us and want to appreciate. The research is really comprehensive. Even the notes are very comprehensive. Even for those who do not have the interest to read, just begin with that PowerPoint tonight, because I'm sending it right now. I think I should send it now even. So it will help you to get more love of reading the other books. Probably how to get the interest of reading books, that should be another topic seriously, because our ambassadors, our young adults need to cope up with this habit. I think 2 weeks ago, we hosted the literature evangelist director, publishing director, Pastor Mwanga, who told us a lot about literature evangelism. Those of you who remember, and the importance of literature evangelism. Again, Elder has repeated it here. So it will be great that many of our assignments here involve all those areas. So it is our humble prayer and request that let this course bring a positive change in our lives. Let this course bring a positive change in our local churches. So I want to really appreciate, once again, Elder Patrick, we are so much blessed. We will surely make use of these books. You know, when you see elders reading books, young people who know English, who have time, cannot even read. I remember the publishing director told us, waste a lot of time. You're traveling in bus, but only sleeping and ordering for eats. So we need to really embrace the culture of reading. Now, Elder has shared 3 assignments with us. They are very pertinent for this course. We will ask you kindly to go through the assignments, read the assignments, make the assignments, and present the assignments. Now, remember yesterday we communicated that there are 4 certificates we are going to give. And one of the certificates is in this area, church heritage, this special certificate. So the other certificates will still send you this information on our WhatsApp again. So, Elder, we are grateful. But meanwhile, this is what we are supposed to do through the period of December. We started the virtual. We want to thank God. It has been good. Sister Ruth, our secretary, will be sharing a report about the progress of this course since September. We want to thank God that it has been 3 months down of virtual, and want to thank God that we've realized it really works. And want to thank you because you are the chief sponsors for yourself buying data, and we've seen consistency. We praise God. Now that is phase 1. And so we are happy to inform you, friends, that we've completed phase 1. Now for phase 1, it has been virtual. And mostly we have been on theory. We've shared a lot. We've heard a lot from our leaders, and they have taught us a lot we've got from different people. Now, the areas we've covered so far in the virtual have covered 3/4 way of the work we are supposed to do according to our card. So this announcement is very, very important for all of us. We are done with phase 1 virtual. We are going in for phase 2. SYL phase 2 training starts on 5th December 2020. That is next Sabbath. Now, what is this phase 2 involving? Phase 2 is involving the practical work for us. We have shared a lot. We are saying read. We are not reading. Now it is time to read practically. But we are going to give you strictly 1 month of December. So December 5th is the start for phase 2. SYL candidates to start on their practical ministry and local church at large. Now, there are many of us who've not been active in our youth ministry in the local. We don't have the adventure clubs active because children are staying back home. But we are sure of ambassadors do after Sabbath. Equipped many of you by this time, we are sure that you can be able to start ambassadors and be involved with them. So this is the time. So we'll get back the feedback by the date we are going to communicate. Number 2. Now, phase 2 of our SYL involves number 2, do individual work. Do individual work assignments as per class card requirements through the week and summarize them and summarize required areas on Sundays. Now you realize every Sunday we have been engaging you. Every Sunday we've been engaging you. Every Sabbath we've been engaging you for the past 3 months. We want to thank God for the success. Now we want to see you do your work. We will be checking on you, how far you have gone with your work. When you go through your SYL card, you'll be able to realize, mark the areas you've not covered. Then do them. But they're very interesting. This is not an exam. This is learning that you are going to put in practice. So it shouldn't stress you. It shouldn't make you like, oh, you've entered slavery. No,